All right, guys, I am Misty, and this is Dinner on a Dime, and we are going to get started with another week of Monday through Friday $10 dinners to feed a family of 4 in 2025, okay? I'm gonna go over what you're gonna need to make this meal, any special steps, if there's a special step you gotta do to make the meal, and then what did this meal cost, okay? This one is going to use the 4 buns you had left from last week's video. So last week we made pulled pork sandwiches. Each person got one. It's a package of 8 buns. So we had 4 buns left. So tonight we are going to use those up. So we used the buns, no additional cost there. So we're starting off this meal really great, no cost to us, right? Okay, we're gonna use 1 pound of ground beef, $2.99. That can be hard to come by right now. Look for the best price on ground beef in your area and stock up on it if you can when you find a good price. I have found it at 99 cents a pound, $1.99 a pound, and $2.99 a pound recently. You just have to be on the lookout for it. You're going to be able to find it at $3.97 a pound, usually in the ads. Look for unadvertised sales. That's where you will normally find it, actually. Or look for the markdowns, the meat markdown section. Also, look for the ones that are pre-made into patties, because guess what? You don't have to make a hamburger out of them. That's just how it's pre-formed for you. So sometimes you can get the patties really cheap, and it can be, 1, 2, 3 pounds of meat that are in that package for those patties, and you don't have to keep it as a patty. You can freeze it as a patty, and then when you pull it out, just mash it up and use it for whatever you want to use it for, okay? So get smart when you're thinking about how you're buying ground beef. That one's a little tricky, okay? But I am going to count it as $2.99 a pound because I just paid that this last week for ground beef. I showed you that in a video, so that is the cost I'm going to roll with for this series. Okay, for right now, I am only plating up 3 plates. Only 3 of us are home right this minute. It wouldn't make sense for me to go ahead and plate the other one up. We'll keep it warm and then fill it up when they get here. And what's in the air fryer, which we'll talk about in a minute, I can keep warm until they get home to eat. Okay, so what are we making tonight? We are making sloppy joes. So we've got our buns that cost us $0. We've got our pound of ground beef that cost us $2.99. Believe it or not, that is going to be the bulk of the cost of our meal. We went with 1 can of just plain manwich. You can get this at Walmart for $1.48 a can. This is actually cheaper than buying the packet mix for sloppy joes. This one's really nice because, again, it's packing a lot of flavor into that meat. It's already got all the seasonings you need into it. It's super easy. So you just brown up your meat, you drain your meat, you put in your sloppy joe sauce, you heat it through, you're good to go. If you don't want to use ground beef in this, say that you can't find it at a good price in your area, it is okay to add beans, it is okay to add lentils, it is okay to use ground turkey. I've seen ground pork cheaper than ground beef. So if you find ground pork on a deal, try it out with this. This is pretty versatile. It's gonna work with most of those things. I have even seen people make sloppy joes with chicken, okay? So whatever protein you have that you can get at the most reasonable price, throw it in with the sloppy joe sauce. It's gonna be delicious, okay? So the last thing we are doing tonight in our house is tater tots. I have got tater tots going in the air fryer. We used a half of a bag of tater tots. You can get a bag of tater tots at Walmart for $2.97, which means a half a bag is going to cost you $1.49 for this meal, okay? I could have last week, if I'd been thinking about it, just counted the cost of half of the package of hamburger buns because we were only gonna use a half a pack, but I didn't. So since I've already accounted for the cost in that meal, I'm not going to add the cost into this meal. If you wanted to split it between the two, just make sure you make a note of that in your cost analysis, your data on your meals, okay? So if you were to leave it at that, okay, that would be $5.96 or about $1.49 per person for dinner. That is not bad in 2025. Now, if you wanted to keep it closer to $10, and again, say you know your family better than I do, this is going to feed my family, everyone's gonna go to bed happy. If your family wants more on the plate than this, I have a couple of suggestions for you. You can get a can of baked beans for $1.94 at Walmart, okay? Baked beans, again, they're delicious. They're already pre-seasoned. All the work is done for you. Literally, all you have to do is heat them up and put them on the plate. It is another great source of protein to go with the sloppy joes. And so that would be a really good one to add to this. You could stop there, or you could also go a little bit further, and you could add corn on the cob for another $2.12. Okay, so then everybody gets a sandwich, some tater tots, a corn on the cob, and some baked beans. That is going to equal $10.02, so roughly $2.50.5 per person, okay? So that is a really good deal in 2025. That is a lot of food. That is a really substantial dinner. You've got your veggie with your corn, you've got protein in the beans, you've got protein in the sloppy joe, you've got your grain in the bread, you've got the potatoes, right, which are just delicious. We love potatoes, starchy, carby potatoes, right? So that is tonight's meal. So again, I know I preach, don't do everything convenience food, but right now I don't want to take you too far out of the comfort zone, because I don't want you to have to bulk up on a bunch of ingredients and things they're going to eat through your budget very quickly. Let's keep it as cost effective as we can. Let's work with ingredients that bring those big flavors and can do it at a budget for you and keep it simple, okay? I will have some meals that are gonna be a little more complex as we go through the week, but for this one, we're keeping it simple. Also, we're keeping it simple because it is 7:18 p.m. and I'm just now working on dinner for tonight. Amber's not feeling well, so she's laying down. Jason's not here right now, my husband, and I had to pick up my son from karate. And so we've just kind of been scattered. And so I just got home, and this is a quick, easy meal that I can throw together and get everybody fed and get everybody to bed. Happy, healthy, bellies full, okay? So I will see you guys tomorrow night. We will look at what we're having for dinner then. So see you at that time. All right, good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday night, and we're gonna get started on dinner here on the channel. Another yummy flavor-packed meal for under $10 for a family of 4. So what do we have going on? First of all, let me address the small crock pot up here. This is actually not dinner for tonight. This is actually vegetable soup that I had in the freezer and pulled out. I'm just warming it slowly. That will then turn into my lunches for tomorrow and Thursday. So I will have yummy vegetable soup that I'm looking forward to. Just came out of the freezer, put it in the slow cooker on low to let it reheat, and then of course I'll zap it in the microwave when I'm ready to eat it. So there we go. All right, so what are we doing for dinner tonight? We are doing my son's choice. It was son's choice night. I said, okay, ask him, what do you want for dinner? Think about it. And he said, I want barbecue chicken sandwiches with mac and cheese and corn. That's what he wanted for dinner. And so that's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna do it for under $10, and we're gonna do it in an easy way for under $10, because I didn't wanna cook all of that tonight because I had interviews all day at different places. And so I've kind of been all around the Dallas area today. And so I needed this to be quick and easy. It is already 5:56 p.m. and I'm literally like 5 minutes into making dinner, tops, okay? So what I did, sorry, the other night I went to Kroger. I was at Kroger at about 8 o'clock at night. As I was walking through the deli section at Kroger, found that they had their Home Chef rotisserie chickens marked down to $3.60 for a whole chicken. So I bought 2. What I did is I just pulled all of the meat off of the chicken that I could get to. This shows you right here, okay, if you've ever pulled the meat off of a Costco or a Sam's Club chicken, you're gonna get way more meat off of it than you did off of this Home Chef chicken. They are much smaller, but $3.60 is a good price for the Kroger Home Chef chickens. I got 1 garlic and herb, 1 plain. I actually tasted both. I had 2 plates side by side. I can't tell the difference in the meat once you pull it on. So if you find one cheaper than the other, just go with whatever's cheaper. It's not gonna matter. So all I did for this meal is I took 1 batch of the chicken and I put it in my crock pot on the warming feature, okay? Because it's already cooked through. I don't need to cook it. I just need to heat it through to eat. The other one I'm going to freeze probably in 2 bags for 2 separate meals, but I wanted there to be plenty of chicken for the barbecue sandwiches, okay? So this I'll freeze in 2 sections. I'm thinking I might use one. Okay, I'm torn. If I freeze it in 2 sections, I'm gonna use one for chicken enchiladas, and I'm gonna use one probably for King Ranch chicken casserole. If I freeze it as one, I'm more tempted to use my crock pot and turn it into a honey garlic chicken. I don't know, so we'll see. You'll stay tuned, hopefully, and you'll find out what I end up doing with the other one. So I did include the whole $3.60 in the cost breakdown of this meal. All right, buns were 50% off. I did splurge and get the King's Hawaiian buns because the Hawaiian buns taste amazing when you're making barbecue sandwiches. So we will use 4 of these. The other 4 I'm probably going to go ahead and freeze at this point because I don't think we're gonna do any sort of other sandwichy recipe this week. I'm kind of looking over at my board. There is a possibility I might keep them out for meatball subs. So again, stay tuned and you'll see where I use the other half. But with the 50% off, I paid $2.84. Since I am going to use half of them for this meal and save the other half, I am only going to count half into the cost of this meal, $1.43. Now, technically, sorry, I need to get a spoon for this water that's going back here. You'll find out why here in just a little bit. I paid $0 for barbecue sauce. I had 3 open things of barbecue sauce in my fridge. This one is Memphis inspired barbecue sauce. It had plenty for the meal. So what I did is I just poured what barbecue sauce was left, stirred it up, made sure that that was plenty of barbecue sauce, and put it on warm. So that is what is going in the Instant Pot. It is just warming until everybody gets home. So technically I didn't pay anything for this, but I understand that you may have to go buy this in order to make this meal. So you can get any of the great value barbecue sauces for $1.72 a bottle. You will only need about half of a bottle to make this, which would make it 86 cents towards this meal. Then you can save the other towards a second meal that you make in your house. Okay, I am making Velveeta shells and cheese because that is the one my son likes best, $1.99. And I am making corn. Again, don't go buy the Libby's at Tom Thumb like I did. Go buy it at Great Value. I'm gonna be stocking up there pretty quickly here. 50 cents a can, okay? That makes this meal $8.38. So when you break it down per person, that is $2.09 per person. So well under our $10. Now I did use a little bit of salt and pepper and just a little bit of butter in my corn. So again, probably about 50 to 75 cents worth of ingredients that I'm using there, which still keeps me well under $9. If you wanted to bump this up again to make it closer to that $10 amount and you wanted to add an extra item here, this is probably the meal I would add baked beans to, just my personal preference, or I would do roasted potatoes because my family loves roasted potatoes, but you guys are probably gonna get sick and tired of seeing me cook roasted potatoes, but it is something we love. So I would either do roasted potatoes or I would add a can of baked beans. Either way, the roasted potatoes might make it enough that I don't make this or I don't make this. I don't know, I would have to figure that out. But the baked beans, like I said early in the video, you can get for $1 at Walmart, so you could easily add that $1 in and stay at $9.38 and stay under $10 for this meal. So there you go. Tuesday night, we're having barbecue chicken sandwiches, mac and cheese and corn. Tomorrow night, I've already got dinner laid down, so come back and you can see what we're having tomorrow night and if we can manage to stay under our $10 threshold. So I'll see you then. All right, guys, welcome back to the kitchen. It is Wednesday and I'm getting started on dinner, and I'm gonna need a pair of scissors, so I'm gonna grab those. It is 3:14 in the afternoon. I'm starting on dinner because I have to pick Axton up after UIL practice, which is gonna be about 4:45. I am bringing him home. I have to drop him off, and then I have to drive North Dallas in order to go to a meeting tonight. And so I'm not going to be home during dinner time. So we need to get this started. We need to get going so that I can get it all done. Mom's going to get it all done because Dad's out of town. Okay. So we are still going to cook for 4 because I can always utilize one for leftovers because I still want to show you dinners for 4 for $10. So pan, I have put some nonstick spray in it. My nonstick spray, I always buy when it's on sale. It says you get like 680 servings per container. So very minimal cost. It will last you a while. I would say if you have a Target, you might check in your Target areas first, because they have had theirs on clearance recently and it's like an amazing deal. But if you don't have this, it's okay. You can put a little butter in the bottom of the pan. You can use a little margarine in the bottom of the pan. If you don't have anything you can use in the bottom of the pan, it's probably going to be fine because these are already in a sauce anyway, so they're probably not going to stick. I'm just doing it to be careful. Okay, so what are we making tonight? We are having garlic and herb pork chops. They are the ones that come like this in a 2-pack. You can find these at Tom Thumb. I've seen them at Target. Different places have these. Now, I have not complained, championed on my channel not to buy this, you know, pre-marinated and all that stuff kind of meat, because it's not fancy marinade, right? I mean, it's something we could do ourselves and we could do it way cheaper. As you can see, these are normally $5 for 2 pork chops. That's not a great deal. However, I got these 50% off at Tom Thumb, which means I got all 4 pork chops for $5. And in that case, I am willing to pick up the pre-marinated stuff when the deal becomes good enough. So I'm going to cut these open so I can put them in this pan, and then I'll wash this pair of scissors before I put them up. Let me put on a glove to do this with. Okay, sorry guys, give me just 1 second. Okay, because I don't want to get meat all over my hands. Got other things going on in here. Okay, so we're going to just pull these out of the package. Like I said, they are already pre-marinated, so there is nothing I have to do to them other than just stick it in the pan and get it going. This one's got a big, huge piece of fat on it that I'm trying to pull off. And of course, here, I'll use this wrapper so I don't have to touch the meat. It doesn't want to come off. Okay, you know what? Well, we're just going to wash our hands, guys, because it doesn't want to work with me today. Okay, there we go. Just wanted to get that big, huge glob of fat off of it. I'll throw it away in a second. I guess the glove is useless at this point. It's fine. It is what it is. Okay, so I got 1 package open. Just gonna throw that away. I guess I'll go ahead and throw the glove away too. We'll wash our hands in just a minute. Scissors are getting washed anyway, so you know. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I just want to get these thrown in the oven because I want these to cook definitely before I have to go pick him up. Because I would like to be able to eat before I go to this meeting. If I can, if not, I will eat when I get back. It'll be okay. It's just, this event is from like 6 to 9 tonight, and it's a little ways from my house, so it's gonna be late by the time I get home. And if I don't get to eat before I leave, then it's gonna be a late dinner for me. And I try not to eat dinners that late. Okay, give me just a second to wash my hands. At least by me doing it on camera like this, you guys know that I actually am washing my hands. Okay, so I've got my hands washed, I'm drying my hands. Okay, so again, pork chops, $5, garlic and herb, they're already marinated. I am going to throw them into an oven at 350 degrees and let them start heating. My oven is on preheat, you guys. It's okay, I have a meat thermometer. I can tell when my food is done, and why not allow it to start heating and cooking while my oven is heating up? I don't know. I've never understood that one. Why preheat it? So everything's falling in my cabinet here. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. Okay, let me put these little packets back up there where I had them. Okay, so what are we going to have to go with our pork chops this evening? We are going to have green beans, because we haven't had green beans yet this week, I don't think. I lose track, but my family always will eat green beans and corn, so we're safe with green beans. We are going to have rice-a-roni beef flavor rice-a-roni tonight. So what will you need to go with this? You will need 2 tablespoons of butter or margarine and water. So water's free. We'll need 2 tablespoons of margarine. Guess what? I have right here probably just enough country crock to do the beans. And then for the rice, let's see, I have a stick of butter. That'll work. So we're gonna use the stick of butter. Of course, only 2 tablespoons of it. So like this much of the butter. The rest will get put back for later. Okay, salt and pepper for the green beans because I like some seasoning. Okay, so pork chops, rice, green beans. Now that is what we are having for dinner for my family of 4 tonight. That is going to cost us $5 for the pork chops, 77 cents for the rice-a-roni, 50 cents for green beans, and then I am adding $1 for miscellaneous costs. What are miscellaneous costs? The little bit of butter I'm going to put in the green beans, the little bit of butter I'm going to put in the rice-a-roni, and the amount of salt and pepper that I use for the green beans, okay? I'm going liberal tonight with $1. Normally I say 75 cents, but we need a chunk of butter for this, okay? So that is what we're going to have for dinner tonight. You with me on that one? Again, this one comes in under $8. So if you need more food for your family than this, I've given you lots of other options you can add in. Corn on the cob, canned corn, baked beans, ranch style beans. You can add whatever you want to this meal because you still got over $2.50 that you can play with on this particular meal. If you wanted to bulk up the rice, you could do that. If you wanted to make 2 things of rice, you could do that. If you wanted to make noodles instead, Knorr noodles are also 77 cents, so you can make noodles to go with your pork chops instead. What I would have liked to have done, you can make mac and cheese if you haven't made mac and cheese with the other meals that I made. What I would have liked to have done here is made mashed potatoes. That's what I wanted to do for this meal tonight. However, I have been really busy today and don't have time to peel, cut, boil, and make mashed potatoes today. So we are going to save that for another day, okay? And so that is what I would have preferred to do with this meal. You could also make roasted potatoes. You can make baked potatoes. The options are endless, right? You start to see the more dinners you make, how many things you can just throw in cheaply if you're aware of the cost of things. And that's what I hope this video is teaching some people, is how to do it on a little bit cheaper of a budget. So that's dinner for tonight. That is another meal idea for under $10 for a family of 4. And I will be back tomorrow and we will do this all over again. Hopefully I'll be further into the cooking stage so you can see more of it. I know this is way less of a view than I'm normally giving you. It's just, like I said, I am way behind and I've got very little time before I've got to be back out the door and doing things. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. All right, y'all, I am back with another dinner idea that can cost you under $10 for a family of 4. So tonight we are going to do meatball subs or meatball sandwiches with provolone cheese and meatballs. We're going to do them on Hawaiian buns. We are going to do roasted potatoes in the air fryer, and we're going to talk about how much that costs and why I went with this meal. Give me just a second to stir these meatballs back here. All right, so in this particular case, I already had meatballs prepped and in the freezer because when I make a big batch of spaghetti and meatballs and I make way too many meatballs with sauce, I will freeze that and then pull it out later to make meatball subs with it. The other thing is we had 4 Hawaiian rolls left, right? So, or Hawaiian buns left. So we're going to use those to make our sandwiches. The other thing is I already had open packs of provolone cheese that need to be used up, which we use provolone cheese on our meatball subs. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna talk what you do if you don't have the meatballs already prepped in your freezer, okay? What I'm gonna do with the potatoes, I'm just going to cube them up. I'm going to give them just a dash of oil, shake them up just so they all have a coating of oil on them. I'm going to sprinkle some seasonal. I'm going to sprinkle some Creole seasoning. This is getting a little out of control over here. I'm gonna turn it down. And then I'm going to throw them directly into the air fryer. That is the easiest way to make roasted potatoes. So that's what we're going to do. While we're doing that, I'll talk cost analysis with you and what you can do should you not already have meatballs prepped in your freezer, right? Because obviously that's going to change the cost breakdown of the meal. I did not figure up this meal with free meatballs, okay? Because I want you to see how much it would cost you to make this if you didn't have access to meatballs that were already in your freezer, okay? So what I did is I looked at my local Walmart, okay? Just used the Walmart app and went to my local Walmart. There are two different ways that you could do this. One is the really like fancy pre-made but not frozen meatballs that you can find in the meat department that already have things like Parmesan in them and garlic, and they're flavored really nicely, okay? So that is one option, but that is definitely your more expensive options. So if you decide to do that, which I don't blame you, I've done it before, you're gonna be looking at $6.37 just for the meat for your meatballs, okay? However, if instead you were to buy a bag of frozen meatballs, you would only need half, and then you would have the other half that you could freeze for another meal. And so a frozen bag of meatballs is $7.96 up front, but you would only have to account for half of that in this meal, and then you account for the other half of it in whichever meal you decided to use the other half of the meatballs on. So that is a good option if you want to use the frozen ones instead of the fresh ones. All you would have to do is just start heating them up sooner so that they would get done on time. You want to come say hi? Axton's in the kitchen, but he doesn't necessarily want to come say hi. There he is. There's Axton. He's still alive. So let's talk cost breakdown of this meal. As you can see, these are going to be pretty good sized potatoes. So I'm not like starving my family out, right? Trust me, they get plenty of food. So what are we doing here? Also, my meatballs are already in sauce, right? Your meatballs are not going to be in sauce. If you buy the frozen ones, they're not going to be in sauce. And if you buy the fresh, never frozen, guess what? They are also not in sauce. So how are we going to account for that? Remember, you can buy spaghetti sauce packets. You don't have to buy jars of spaghetti sauce. The spaghetti sauce packets you can get right now for 2 for $1 easily, usually 2 for 89 cents. And that's all you need. Spaghetti sauce packet and water to turn it into spaghetti sauce. And that is all you need to make the meatballs, okay? So a package of meatballs, whether fresh or frozen, and 1 packet of spaghetti sauce mix that you're gonna mix with water, okay? All right, so we are just going to toss the buns out of the way. I'm going to put the cheese up. All I am going to do when it is time to make the sandwiches is put the meatballs and sauce on the bun, top it with some cheese, toss it in the oven, let it get melty and delicious, okay? That's all we're gonna do on this, nothing fancy. All right, so for the potatoes, again, this is not anything hard. I promise this one's super easy. If you can get your vegetable oil to open, it's super easy. All right, so all you gotta do, drizzle a little bit of oil in. Like I said, you don't need a whole lot. You just need enough to coat them, because you don't want extra oil, because then it's just gonna break down in the bottom of your air fryer. I just mix them in a bag, just like this. If you're mixing them in like a reusable pan, then you can just mix them in the pan. You don't have to use a bag for it, okay? All right, boom, there we go.
Well, we don't have that, so.
Yeah, so for tonight we don't. Okay, and then I just start sprinkling. Remember, potatoes, you want to season liberally. They can hold a lot of seasoning. If you over season them, you're gonna know, and then you'll know to scale it back the next time. But they can take a lot of seasoning. I'll show you what you want them to look like. You just want them to have a sprinkle across all of the potatoes, okay? So we'll look at that here in just a second once I get done making a lot of racket. You want to show them what you made?
Fortune teller.
Yeah, Axton's learning to make fortune tellers.
I just learned today, so.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to pour these onto our pan. We're going to just kind of make sure that they are all spread out and not just like a big clump in the middle, because we want them to cook evenly. Okay, once we've done that, we'll just take a look at them. In this case, they're pretty good on seasoning. There's a couple that I see that maybe need just a little sprinkle more. Boom. we're done. Yeah, I got a little on the counter. I'll wipe it off in a little while. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell, maybe you can in the video. They've got the oil on them. They've all got a pretty even sprinkle of seasoning on them. I am going to stick these in the air fryer at 400 degrees until they are brown and ready to be eaten. I don't know how long it'll take. I just keep an eye on them. I don't want them to burn, but whenever they're done, they're done. Within 20 minutes for sure. And that's the nice thing about using the air fryer. It takes a lot less time than it does in the standard oven, okay? All right, so let's talk our cost breakdown on this one. We got the potatoes for 99 cents a pound. I know you can still do that because I just did it again today. I got red potatoes and gold or yellow potatoes for 99 cents a pound. So $1.98 for potatoes. Again, the meatballs, if you want the fresh, non-frozen ones that already come with like cheese and garlic and all the good things in them, $6.37. If you want to go frozen, so you can split the cost between this meal and a future meal, the bag is $7.96 divided out by 2, $3.98 per meal. Buns in this case are free because we kept them from the other night, right? Make sure you do that. Cheese, 98 cents is how much right now you can buy one package of provolone cheese for if you are watching for the sales. I actually included the entire 98-cent cost in this. I should not have. I should have only included half, but that's okay. We're gonna leave it as it is. Spaghetti sauce packet, 50 cents if you don't already have meatballs mixed in with spaghetti. So of course mine is not gonna have the meatballs cost in because that's from a previous meal. It's not going to have the spaghetti sauce packet because I already have mine mixed with sauce. But you see where I'm going with this, right? You may not have all of those things, so that's why I've accounted for it here. All right, so if you go with the fresh, never frozen meatballs, you are going to be $9.83 or $2.46 per person. If you go with the frozen option, you're only coming in at $7.44, which is $1.86 per person. Now, what's nice about coming in at that $7.44 price point is you still have about $2.50 that you can play around with adding something else, okay? So you could look around your store, you could see what you wanted to add in this particular case. Corn on the cob would go really nicely with this. Baked beans would go really nicely with this. But in our particular case, we find that one full meatball sub and the potatoes is quite enough for us. So that is it for dinners. There will only be 4 this week. Like I said, we had the Waxahachie High School had their last football game this week, or regular season football game this week. And so that, I got marker all over my hands. I guess it wasn't quite dry on my list. Anyways, I'm gonna wash my hands. But that is all of the meals for this week. So there will only be 4 in the video this week. Next week, I will try my hardest to get back on 5 videos for you. It's just on football game nights, it's easy for us just to either eat at the stadium because the food supports the band program, or to eat something quick like Taco Casa or Subway, because we can even take those things into the stadium. So if we don't quite finish or someone has any extra, they can take it in with them. They can eat them at halftime or whatever. So, all right, guys, I hope you found those meals helpful. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are close to meeting 500 subscribers, which would be great because that's halfway to monetizing the channel. And I am working very hard to do that here on YouTube. I am not looking to monetize in order to get rich and fancy and live in a big house, right, Axton? I would like to monetize the channel just so that it pays for the groceries that you see in our house on a week-to-week basis. So if you will make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell and watch the content that I'm putting out for you, that subscriber number and that amount of watch time, they're of equal importance right now to help me get this channel monetized so that we can do just a little bit better here in our house, okay? So, and it doesn't cost you anything. That's the best part. It's free for you guys at home. All right, I will see you next week. We'll cook some more $10 dinners for a family of 4. Axton, say peace out.
Peace out.
Peace out, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.